it honestly brings me back full circle to even why I wanted to do this podcast, was to be able to showcase, cool shit in construction.
Yeah, that's a great career. You're not out digging ditches all day.
No.
You could be if you want.
So hey everybody,
welcome
back. Cam Roy, hosting with Jeff Knobloch over here in the co-host chair, and another episode of the Construction Dirt podcast. Coming to you guys every couple weeks with some new content and things like that. Really looking forward to continuing this on. Second episode, big time stuff.
Not sure how the first one went yet, but
we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
I felt it went spectacular, but I haven't actually heard it yet.
Had some constructive feedback. Hopefully we'll improve
constructive feedback, right?
Very positive reinforcement on the focus or where we're going with
for
it.
Sure, 100%.
Yeah.
And then we just wanted to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. Sponsor JK Worldwide, big sponsor for us over here in the Construction Dirt podcast,
getting us started on this adventure,
and really pumping our tires to keep this going. So I wanted to jump right into it. We got a couple segments, but wanted to start off kind of, I guess, last couple weeks construction. What we've been doing. I mean, so Jeff, what have you been seeing out there? How has your last couple weeks been on the field level stuff? I think you were around some job sites and doing a few little things.
You see a lot of projects moving along, but then you also go by some sites and see nothing happening. So like for me, I'm still trying to figure out what is causing some of these things to not go forward. I mean, obviously there's projects you get a permit, you don't start with a project, I get it, but ones that have started and then kind of just end, maybe a little concerning right now, and what's causing those.
Yeah, it's weird. I actually drove past the project the other day, and I honestly can't remember where it was, but it was almost like a half done, like 6-story concrete, almost like a 6-story like concrete like office building or something like that, and it was like half done, like it was half, and like there was no one working there. It looked like it had been abandoned for a while, and I haven't seen that for a while. Like we saw that, I think, I feel like years ago, like back 08, 09.
Residential for sure.
Yeah, resi for sure. And then I know like 08, 09, I know Surrey Central by the King George SkyTrain station, there was a couple towers that like those were abandoned during that recession period. But it was interesting to see that. I haven't seen that level of, kind of abandonment, I guess. But lots of different issues out there with just the permitting processes and things like that, and delivery lead times for things, and people just not coming through on different things for different projects. So I mean, we all heard about the two big infrastructure projects that got some delays lately too, right? So we're seeing it all the way from smaller resi guys all the way through to major billion-dollar infrastructure projects, right?
So you touch on that one, and like I heard that on the radio, which is it 100% true what you hear? I don't know, but like I kind of took offense the way that they were blaming it on the construction industry, and then I was like, well, wait a second, like I'm in the construction industry, I have no control of this, but why am I taking so much why
are you taking the heat on it? Why are you taking the heat on it?
Contractors and construction industry and all these like bad things, and I'm like, well,
hold on a minute.
I kind of want to go and try to justify why they were delayed.
Yeah.
There's probably permitting issues, and whoever had to approve it took a while to approve it, but all they're talking about is a contractor. And it's like, wow, I do not need to go down the path of defending these guys. So So when I see those other industrial sites or projects stall, that's where I'm curious why. Obviously there's things we as a company can learn from, or individuals, but also just the industry can learn. Okay, well, these projects aren't moving forward for this reason.
Yeah.
Is it a trend? Yes, no. Okay, well, let's maybe act on it.
Yeah, and like you and I, obviously from our day to day, like me for sure, like we know how many variables are out there just in our world, and so like I just couldn't imagine like a Batala Bridge project. Like how many more variables are on that than what we see, right? So very interesting.
Yeah, the shutting down one lane to do some on-site off-site tie-ins versus traffic on a major bridge.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, and I mean, labor force, material shortages, things like that. I mean, there's so much out there, right? And so, I really got into concrete the last couple of weeks.
So why is that?
We had some pressing items that I was dealing with, and really got technical. Really went down the hole of concrete and the composition,
chemistry behind it.
Yeah, once in a while. It honestly, it's probably
educate me.
Oh, it's a yearly thing, I think. Honestly, like going down that like chemistry aspect of it, and just like, oh man, like the the fly ash percentages and the water cement ratios, and the the slump allowances and the admixtures and the water reducers and the plasticizers and and then how that's transformed into a finished product. And the variables behind that whole scenario too. So the finishing aspect, the pumping aspect, the curing, like all that kind of stuff. And it's funny because you almost get it to a point where you're like, yes, like we got this dialed in. Like I know exactly what I'm talking about. And then all of a sudden something else comes up. You're like, oh, I never thought of that before. Like my goodness, right?
If only you added a little bit more of that might not have happened. Or
or like just like asking someone, like not even in a like a detrimental standpoint, but just like, hey, like what happened? Like, why did that happen? And like they might have their idea of what it was, and then you might have your idea of what it was, and like nobody's really sure. So yeah, I went down a large rabbit hole, which is, I mean, honestly, concrete, me, I love it. So, really getting into that, the fly ash piece was a big one.
The placing, finishing. I'd say the only person that I know that is more passionate about concrete than you would be our friend, Derek Rainey.
Yes.
With Knox Creek.
Yes. Yeah. You should see Derek and I would get together.
Yeah, I could only imagine.
We went for beers when he was here last, and, there was like 2 other guys at the table.
Yeah.
And I think Lee was there, and so, I forget somebody else, and it was just me and Derek just nerding out. We were just going on. Oh man, I thought I was like a full on chemistry PhD. I was just giving her and him. Yeah, I mean Derek Green, Oxcrete, just the whole chemical composition of the bond breakers, the form releases, like all that kind of stuff. It's spectacular. I mean, it's super cool.
That's why you and Derek connect on the concrete, and then Derek and I connect on the shoes and the shoe.
Is he a shoe guy too?
He's definitely a shoe guy.
I had no idea.
Size 11. Yes.
11.
Yeah. So it's on the list. I'm at the outlets or see them.
Yeah.
He's an 11. You're 13.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Oh yeah.
His tattoo is spectacular too. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Well, there's an idea for a future guest. I mean, we might need to do a remote or get him up here.
I'm sure we could figure that out.
Yeah, cool.
So, yeah, that was my my last couple of weeks. Like I said, was the concrete aspect. So, I mean, I could continue talking about concrete and steel and structure and forever. So, but
what was the coolest pour that you witnessed in the last 2 weeks then?
So a friend of mine actually had a 900-meter transfer slab suspended today, actually, and really cool, like slopes. And he was sending me some pictures, like some like drop capitals, and some monopore like ramp walls and stuff like that. That was pretty sick. It was high lift too. So high lift, it's like essentially, I don't know. I think he was like 30 feet above the podium level. Okay. So like, you can see like a tower with like a Save on Foods in it. Where the ceiling is fairly high. So that suspended was way up there. That I think is probably the coolest one of the last couple of weeks. We had I had a couple slab pours over the last couple of weeks that were pretty spectacular too. A good 300 meters or so each. So, it's been fun.
So what's an amount that's gets everyone excited? So 300 meters, that's a decent size.
I mean, for me, it's a decent size. Yeah. I mean, I enjoy, I love watching, watching to see what's out there in terms of like a big raft slab for a tower. That Pier West project in New Westminster when they poured I think it was like 2,700 cubes.
Oh, they had all the
in like
pumps
23,
everywhere.
Yeah, like 23 hours.
Brands.
Yeah. James was posting about that one, but it was, it was pretty cool to see stuff like that. And like there's so many intricacies. You can go on and that kind of stuff, right? Like backup pump, multiple pump locations, the staging for the trucks, where you bring them down to, the different mixes. Do you have a Kim mix on the bottom, around some of the, as you get to the top, around the core shear walls, are you putting in like a 50 MPa mix? Are you coloring that red so that it's a 50 MPa mix from the engineer? Like all that kind of stuff. So, I feel like every time one of those happens, it's pretty cool. You don't see it's weird. Like you don't see them all the time. Like not on like every tower. Like there's the Burrard Place Tower 3 next to the ones that we worked in. Leadcore's doing those. I believe our fours on the formwork for it. And, you know, it wasn't a very large raft slab for that one. So, you know, it was cool, but,
Yeah.
you know, it wasn't as big as like a, Pier West or something like that.
So you say all that stuff's going on, and then yet people go by that site and they're like, oh, there's flaggers and concrete trucks. And there's pumps blocking this lane.
Yeah. I don't want my son to go into that.
Right? This is worse. This is a disaster.
Yeah, getting back to the grassroots of the podcast that we started. I mean, that's kind of where we wanted to get to, is the fact that, you know, there's so many cool things happening, you know, City of Vancouver, Metro Vancouver area, and, you know, honestly, all over Canada and North America, that, you know, people just walk past or don't even really understand how cool
what's happening.
Right? Yeah. I mean, the one that really, I mean, this is getting back to grassroots stuff for me for the podcast, but I mean, the Alberni Tower on Alberni Street, the Art Kumagai architecture kind of thing. You know, like that's, you know, I got introduced to, you know, a guy that was the project manager for Graham. I got introduced to a guy who was the assistant project manager, and like just some of the stuff they were telling me about, you know, the vertical post tension, you know, so the thing didn't, you know, essentially fall over. Yeah. Because it's got a big bite out of the center of it, right? You know, the tower crane, you know, the columns that split from one column to two columns because the floor slab gets bigger. You know, that kind of project, and people just walk by and they're like, whatever, you know. You know, the butterfly project right now, they're just taking the Luffer crane down from Carry On Construction, doing the formwork on it, and, you know, like that's like, that Luffer was huge. Like the thing was massive, you know, and like, you know, they took the first crane down with the second crane.
What, say the crane to use the
using
the crane to put
they had their two Luffers up there. They took one down with the one, and then you know, they put a derrick crane on top of the one tower, and then took the second crane down with the derrick crane that's on top of the tower, and
all I care about is blocking 2 lanes now. And
I can't get through it. So there's so much cool stuff that's happening, and people don't see, and that's I think that's obviously the reason we started this, to really get it out there. So
is that me deep down saying, next time you're stuck in traffic in a work zone, just take a breath and look outside and enjoy and appreciate what's actually being built?
Yeah, see how far down the knuckle of that excavator is in the hole, and how deep they are, and how many Cooper trench safety trench boxes are down there holding up the sides, right? Because
it's cool stuff.
I just
all about perspective.
All about perspective, 100%. And speaking of perspective, I mean, we kind of joked there a minute ago just about the perspective of, you know, a job site and somebody driving by or walking by and seeing, you know, Buddy hacking, you know, lighting a smoke with another smoke with his jackhammer in his hand, and, you know, mom's in the car with her, you know, 12-year-old son saying, stay in high school, you're going to end up like that guy. And, you know, again, we spoke earlier about, you know, construction always taking the blame, or construction having the blame on it, right? And I just feel, you know, that's such a misconception in the industry. You know, me personally, anytime anybody asks me, you know, like, oh, you know, construction, and I'm like, man, there's so many different facets to it. We just spoke about this earlier. Like, there's so much more to it than meets the eye, you know. And even honestly, even right now with the technology that's coming and the advancements and stuff like that, like, you know, you could be in there doing BIM modeling as a you know, kind of software wizard. You know what I mean? Computer wizard guy doing BIM modeling for a large infrastructure project or something like that, right? So it's just, it's very unfortunate that kind of mindset, I feel, still exists. I think it's getting better.
It's definitely getting better. I mean, I think the awareness of the careers that you can get in the trades, or that there is an actual career out of it, is helping. But you still get that perception. I mean, it happens to me. Not a lot, but people are like, oh, what do you do for work? Because I'm in construction. I'm a contractor. Well, you don't look like a contractor. I'm like, what does a contractor look like? It's like, well, you know, you don't look like you're outside all day. It's like, well, you know, there's a lot of aspects of construction. There's office side and field side. So, which maybe is my telling me that I need to go out and get some more sun on my skin and
Well, I think you just take your shirt,
I'm a construction guy.
Just take your shirt, rub it in the mud a little bit, put it back on again. You'll be okay.
Greasy under the nails. And
I'm
in construction.
Take your hard hat, rub it on the ground a little bit.
I was like, like I do play slow pitch, so that's
here we go. I don't know. It is just interesting, and I do a lot of career fair stuff with like for the trades, and I talk about just like industry advocacy, you know, and just advocacy for the construction industry as a whole, and you know, talking to these kids, and a lot of times I'll go to a career fair and it's like it's a trade specific one, which is totally cool. I'm a ticketed carpenter. I went through the program, went through the apprenticeship. Like, I think it's a great program. Apprenticeship's great. Trades are great, but they aren't for everybody. But the construction industry is so much more than that. And that's one of the, it's a big thing that I tell everybody about is just, like there's more to it than the day-to-day labor aspect.
Yeah.
Trying to push that. Just try to push that on people because it's a cool industry. I mean, we just talked about massive cranes coming down and pouring lots of concrete and it's pretty neat stuff.
Well, you say, I know we talked about this many times about that advancement in technology too, that more and more tasks on the sites are going to be able to be done not from the site.
For sure.
So if you have that perception that you don't want to be a site person or on the site or it's not the right place to be, well, yeah, maybe you won't be there anyways.
Yeah, no, for sure. There was actually I saw the other day, there was something, I think it was a LinkedIn thing or something like that, but there was a picture of I think it was like Brandt or Cat Finning had like a demo days thing or something. And they had an excavator in like a field in one of their properties in like Connecticut. And they had this like chair, it was almost like a gaming chair, and they had the joysticks. And you could operate the excavator
from
remotely.
Wherever.
Yeah. The thing was in Connecticut, and then
cool.
I mean, I don't know how legit that is, but I mean that's pretty crazy.
It's
legit, but I mean like how practical
use. Yeah, I guess, but that's where it starts in the field, and then next thing you know, it's in a small site, and next thing you know, it's in a little building. That's how it goes. I mean, we talk a lot about the industry not being sexy, people not going into it, but like, I feel it is improving, and I'm not just pulling.
No, for sure.
Air. Like we've talked about this probably for the last 5 years, but 10 years in the industry, it's one of those things that takes time. So it's good you have the desire to power through it because it can be frustrating when you're basically sound like you're talking to a wall because like join the industry, I don't want to. Join the industry, I don't want to. It's
it's tough.
But the investment, it takes time. But
for sure,
talking about it like we are now and.
Yeah, just getting it out there. Getting it out there. And my big thing is also just like showcasing that cool stuff, So, I mean, like, we spoke about infrastructure projects earlier. I think like Broadway Subway Tunnel has some really great, Twitter posts, Instagram posts, regarding, the TBMs, the tunnel boring machines, like coming through the wall and like that kind of stuff. And, I wish there was more of that on the private sector as well, because there's so many cool things happening in the private sector. And that's, I feel that's just gonna like creating more transparency on that and showcasing some of those things. And that's, again, the reason we started this podcast is to get, us to talk about it, but then also bring in,
others,
and industry professionals that, are out there on the day to day doing some cool stuff that you don't want to talk about the cool shit they're doing, right? So.
No, and that's one of the things I really enjoy about about our company where we work is the diversity of what we do. But also you mentioned that the public versus private work. The public work, it is more out there and open, and I found we're kind of maybe getting out of our shell a little bit and sharing more of our private world of what we do at work and the projects we do. And being more interactive and it's not everyone's doing that. Some are, but I like that idea that people can see exactly what's out there, what we do.
Yeah, and the raw piece of it too. I feel that's a big part of it. You know what I mean? Like, we won't break down like the whole construction industry marketing piece, but sometimes I feel, there's a lot of
keywords, buzzwords,
like the culture, the vibe, the airy fairy, the look at us go, this is spectacular, everything's wonderful.
Our marketing team said use these words.
It's not like it's there's some days are a disaster out there, right? And it's okay. I think it's okay to talk about that because that's part of construction and that's how we move forwards, right? We had it was interesting. We had an intern. I had an intern in this week working with me, and her family is from construction, and so a lot of times when we'll get interns from BCIT or other places, and they'll have this very kind of like jaded outlook, like, like these drawings aren't very good, or like everything works wonderfully, right? And this girl was like completely the opposite. Like she was just like, oh, I know it's a disaster out there. Like my dad tells me that, and I was like, oh, okay. Like you actually know that, there's a lot of things that we have to push through and, work through and tough conversations and stuff like that. Right. So, Yeah, it's interesting.
Did I tell you the story about that first? I learned the world of construction from one subtrade. I was
No.
a project coordinator and had to put a platform for a hot water tank. So the structural steel guy promised me he'd be out there the next day, put it up.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Okay, line up the plumber the next day. He shows up and there's no platform for his hot water tank.
Yeah.
And I just remember that conversation. How could you lie to me? And Al or
Yeah.
he says, "Oh, come on, man. You need to learn. Like don't believe everything you hear that first time."
Yeah.
But
yeah. The other thing too is when I found when you know that it's going to be okay.
Mhm.
Like when you just like put two people.
Oh, I was falling apart though. I was like, the platform and the plumber's yelling at me and it's a disaster. I'm going to lose my job. How did I not know it's not there? I should have done it myself. And it's like, oh, it's okay. Like
it's going to be all right.
But hey, that was
life's gonna go on.
25 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? It's still.
But even just, like just putting two people together on something and just, no, they'll figure it out.
Mhm.
It's going to be okay.
Mhm.
And just take a step back. It's, it's funny. It's an interesting world out there for sure. For sure.
Did I say, what did you help me figure out today when we were at Subway? Oh, my,
was it your back rack thing?
My back rack, my headache rack.
Yeah, your headache rack.
Make my truck over height and we'll just take it off. And
there's 4 bolts.
Yeah, I've been stressing on that.
I've
had the truck 6 months now and
Yeah.
how am I going to do this?
I'm surprised you had a tape measure at home.
Oh,
I'm impressed.
Yeah, well, I told you I got a
screwdriver here.
Screwdriver, whatever, axe throwing board,
Axe
and
throwing.
a screwdriver from this great promotional product.
We're going to have
company.
to try that one day. I mean, I only get like random stuff from people and you get like really cool.
Yeah.
Throwing and-
Oh, right. I mean,
My God.
I tried it. It's kind of gimmicky, but it's cool.
Oh.
It's it's one of those things people get and hang and never use.
It looks like targeted branding.
Right. Put a face on there.
Yeah.
I mean, I got a bullseye. I know that for sure.
Yeah. Oh, it's too funny.
I forget though sometimes that we're on microphones and people can't see when I'm pointing and looking at something on the other side of the room.
You know what's funny? I will listen to a podcast and I typically listen to my podcast in the truck, drive in, drive out, wherever I'm driving to. And people will talk about, like, it'll be a video podcast. Mm-hmm. And so then they'll be like, oh, and like, check this out. And I'm like, I can't. Like, I'm driving. Yeah. Like, so it's funny, the opposite for us. Like, we're not on video and you're actually pointing at stuff.
Just similar to the shoes. One guy's like, oh, you're wearing your whatever kicks today. I'm like, I wish, am I really going to Google it later and try to find this podcast? Just
at minute 37, 23.
You get a quick glimpse of the shoes.
Yeah. You see Jason Kelsey.
Right?
That's too funny.
Yeah.
There was one other thing I saw last week. I was talking to a friend of mine and he was talking about the big buzz, obviously, the last couple weeks was the Broadway subway tunnel and the second tunnel boring machine breaking through and all that kind of stuff. He was telling me that the rebar, so they dig a hole for the station, right? And then when they put the shoring in as they go down, they shotcrete shoring for it. The shotcrete shoring, the rebar in that, where the tunnel boring machine is going to eventually break through, is all fiberglass.
So that'll just break through.
Because the steel would actually completely wreck the head.
Bullet and all that.
Would wreck the head of the TBM.
Wow.
And I was, it was very interesting.
So literally it just blows right through that fiberglass rebar.
Yeah, so the fiberglass rebar is still like, it's a structural, it's strong rebar. It's still structural, but
it can cut.
Yeah, it's able to cut through the
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it was it was
See, I
crazy.
didn't even realize they were doing it in that method or that process.
Yeah, like they dug the holes for each kind of place and then because you've seen it come through.
Yeah.
Where they have like the rails through the station and so like I think it was like Elsie and Phyllis, I think it was, that like came through and then they came through on the rails and then they like start chewing the next one and keep on going. So
it's cool stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. There was a guy, so I met a guy up in Whistler at the Construction Leadership Forum for VRCA. And he was with a company I'd never heard of before. And they were a preferred proponent for the North Shore Water Tunnel that's going to go through Stanley Park and then under whatever body of water that is. And then
Burrard Inlet?
Burrard Inlet. Is that Burrard Inlet? Yeah, I guess it is. Yeah. Because English Bay is on the other side, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So yeah, Burrard Inlet. So it's going underneath there and then coming up. And it must have been like 20 minutes. And I swear to God, this guy was just like, you need to stop talking to me about tunneling. Because I was just like, how do you drop the pieces
Right?
down the hole, and like how do you put the thing together? And it was I went down a
I mean,
down a rabbit hole on
I
that one.
heard, and I think it's a legit story that they were thinking of putting an actual car tunnel from North Shore into downtown somewhere.
Oh, really?
So coming
Years
out,
ago or like recently?
I'd say more recent.
Oh,
but
interesting.
Probably it was years ago. I mean, when
Yeah,
they talk
yeah.
about that downtown stadium for the Whitecaps and kind of come on that area there.
Okay.
But
That'd be
it's similar.
cool.
I remember asking those questions like, well,
Oh, yeah.
do you drill it or you
Yeah.
precast and sink
Yeah.
it? And like
Yeah.
the George Massey Tunnel was done 100 years ago or whatever.
That's
it was,
right.
but-
They built it and then sunk it.
and
Yeah.
pumped out the water. So
Yeah. It was funny though because I knew about the project because when on my drive home down Highway 17, they're doing a similar one right now,
Mm.
just before Tannery.
Okay,
And so that I again went down a rabbit hole and ended up in the Metro Vancouver like infrastructure projects
Okay.
page.
yeah,
And they had a few upcoming projects, and one of them was this North Shore to downtown through Stanley Park Tunnel.
tunnel.
And then it actually came up on the news too, because they were talking about the flow of traffic for the dump trucks,
Yeah.
like pulling the material out of the
Mhm.
hole, which is like on Beach Street, and people are
How do they
frustrated
get
because
there?
and it was a whole thing. And then the parks people are talking about they have to do a secondary hole just before, like inside of Stanley
Yeah.
Park before it goes across the water. And people were really concerned about the vegetation and the wildlife and stuff like that. So
So I mean, like last weekend I was camping at Dees Island Park,
Mhm.
scout group.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we took the kids for the hike down over the tunnel. Some had been there before, and others had not been there before.
Yeah.
So they're like, "What's the tunnel?" Or not, "What's the tunnel?" But we didn't know this was a tunnel. There's a tunnel here, and like, where are the cars going? And then so I got to be, Scouter Jeff and
did you
explain
give them the whole thing?
how the tunnel got built and sunk, and like,
Pumped out.
oh yeah,
and-
totally. It was,
Oh, that's cool.
But then also I'm standing there, I'm like, maybe, hopefully, eventually. I honestly don't know where that project's at right now. There will eventually be a bridge over all this, and
Yeah.
the tunnel's going to get, taken out,
Yeah.
decommissioned.
I don't even. Are they doing a bridge or another tunnel?
No, it's a bridge.
Talking about
It's
a
supposed to
bridge?
be a bridge.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay. All right.
maybe we don't get into that one.
No, let's leave that alone.
Fact find a bit
Yeah.
more before we start talking about that one.
Yeah. We don't have an intern doing doing
The research,
scope check
Oh.
for us.
right?
The scope check. Yeah. There is an overpass though going over by the care home, just off 86th.
Yes, for the
96,
new
86.
86.
Is it 86?
96.
I don't know.
Yeah, I always say at in
By Ladder Trunk.
99 and 91 interchange where the Tim Hortons and the Chevron.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's Ladder Trunk.
Yeah.
Ladder
Yeah.
Trunk. Yeah. Yeah, because they're putting a big business park in the back there.
Yep.
And they're putting an overpass over top. Yeah.
That's creating industrial land, much
For
greater
sure.
industrial land,
Much needed.
creative ways.
Yeah.
My understanding that interchange was being put in by the developer.
I
as
believe
a
so.
Part of the approval process,
Correct.
which is
That
Let's
is
go.
what I've also heard.
love having new industrial land,
Definitely.
especially.
Nah,
over-
much needed. Much needed for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool. Another thing I was listening to last week or a couple weeks ago was I listened to a lot of the Jason Kelsey, Travis Kelsey
Mm-hmm.
New Heights podcast. And obviously, I mean, I'm a big NFL fan in general, and there was they had the big NFL draft.
Mhm.
And they're talking about draft day and new people on the team and coming into summer training and getting the team back together.
Yep.
And it was funny because I related it to construction, obviously, and just finding when I was a super, getting on a project and getting like let's say like a contacts list for the sub trades and
Yep.
suppliers and stuff, and being like, just like bringing the band back together, and being
Oh, for
like,
sure.
yes, like we got this guy, like,
yeah,
man, I can't wait to call up, this guy, or,
yeah,
and it was funny because I related that whole like summer camp thing to like the
Mhm.
start of a project and just getting so excited about this, like, this next year of football and
Yeah.
this next construction project, right?
yeah. Well, you say that, and then as obviously the Stanley Cup players are still gone, NBA playoffs, but some of those teams, their seasons are ending, so it's the complete
yeah,
opposite of saying goodbye, or I might not be back next year, or who's going to be on the team. It's kind of a
yeah, and it was
both
the
sides.
same thing as a construction project,
end
like
of the project.
yeah,
Like, oh, that was great working with you. I hope I never work with that guy again.
yeah,
See you
yeah.
on the
Hope
next
that
one.
guy gets treated,
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, it's interesting for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So you talk about going down rabbit holes.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
I had done some research.
So last podcast episode, we had a rabbit hole that Jeff went down talking about the air inside of a potato chip bag.
Why does the chips go stale
when the bag's left open?
Yet there's air in the bag
when
it's closed.
Right. And so I'm assuming, and I don't know this for the record, everyone listening, I have not heard this yet, but I'm assuming you've come up with the answer.
Yeah. So I just want to touch on this quickly though. So in this, this ages me now.
Yeah,
in this day and age, you can just Google and get your answers. But let's go back to say, like, I know we're different vintage. Yeah, but let's say you're 15. No, did you have internet access when you?
I did.
Okay, so maybe go younger.
The old MSN
I guess what
Messenger.
I'm saying, did you ever have a time where you sat around with buddies and asked a question and you had no way to find the answer?
Oh yeah,
you found
those are fun times.
You don't have. I miss those times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I miss those times.
Yeah, I
kind
do
of.
too.
But then also, I look at my kids. I'm like, they will never experience that feeling of
no.
Let's debate this for a bit, and you're right, I'm right. We'll never know the answer unless, hey, let's go to Jimmy's house. His parents have a set of encyclopedias, and we can try to use the skills we learned in school to look through the encyclopedia to find our answer. Like,
I feel like it's like, well, let's say 20 years ago when I was younger, and my dad would be like, you can't, you're not playing Pong? We used to play Pong on the TV.
But also, like,
that's literally you right now.
I guess so, right? So
anyway,
so imagine this. So had that question, and I thought about it, and then within 5 seconds, I Googled it and got an answer. So I'm just going to read this real quick.
But we did have a good discussion about it last time, and it really couldn't come up with anything. So
the air in your bag of chips is a harmless gas called nitrogen. Nitrogen helps protect the food's color, flavor, odor, and structural integrity. Before your bag of chips was closed with chips inside, the bag was filled with nitrogen. Nitrogen is a gas that's found in the air. So that's the first definition on Google. So
interesting.
Nitrogen leaves when you open the bag, oxygen comes in, and then the chips potentially could start going stale.
So if you open a bag of chips and then you like huff the nitrogen, like what would happen? It's like a helium balloon? This is led to so many follow-up questions.
So yes, but I think you would need like a giant bag of chips for it to actually do anything.
But there must be a percentage of nitrogen to oxygen within that bag of chips. So you can't just all be nitrogen.
Do you need me to Google this?
No, we're not. Okay. We're leaving it alone.
So is this you're right, I'm right. Let's ask my dad. He might know.
He wants me to play Pong. And nobody can see me doing the Pong things.
I can, and it doesn't look like the Pong things.
Yeah, yeah, whatever. That's funny.
So there you go. That's the answer according to Google. I mean, if I'm wrong and someone out there knows that this is still not true, I'll reply to Google and just say that.
There you go.
So and so might not think this is right.
All right, Camera.
You should try that one on your father. See if he knows what the answer to the chip bag.
He would. He probably would.
He would.
He's a smart dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he would.
Yeah, he's got all that dad knowledge,
Don't let me down now, though.
Right? I'd probably lie to you and say, just to make you feel better. Just for his sake, anyways.
Right. Well, I mean, if he's listening, he knows the answer.
Oh, God, here we go.
Yeah.
I have to ask him beforehand, before this comes out. Yeah, that's funny. I mean, the rabbit holes. So talking about rabbit hole, I mean, we did have a segment. We were talking about rabbit holes. Mm-hmm. Jeff and I both kind of tend to start to spiral once in a while when we get on a topic and really dive down quite aggressively. I started going on electric cars this week. Yeah. And I mean, I didn't really get anywhere. It led me to a whole nother world of experience.
Did the hydrogen powered car
come up? Hydrogen powered car.
Is that what made you think of this? So we can power a car off. Oh no, it's nitrogen. Sorry. We're going to power a car off chip bags.
We need to make water out of the car with the hydrogen. The hydrogen car did come up for sure.
What happened to that guy?
I don't know what happened. Like, we talked about
He disappeared.
Yeah.
As well as the technology.
Oh God, here we go. Here's just
wrong rabbit hole.
Yeah, that's a wrong rabbit hole. The electric car thing and just I don't know.
Like the infrastructure behind, okay, so
I started
electric
off.
cars.
I started off. I was like, I started off and I was like, the Cybertruck's really cool.
Yeah,
I really want to get a Cybertruck because that thing's so sick.
Yeah. But what's so sick about it? What it looks like, or just because it's like
what it looks like, the durability of it. I mean, okay,
it's faster than a
I'd
Porsche.
like to start at the beginning of the rabbit hole, where I saw a video online at, I believe it was the UFC facility, where a guy like kick flipped from the roof of the Tesla onto the hood of the Tesla, the Cybertruck, and then like ollied off the front. And I was like, man, those things, and there was like bullet holes in the side, because obviously Dana White's blowing the thing up with a machine gun or something. And I was like, man, those things are durable. And then, I mean, I just started watching YouTube reviews of the Cybertruck and then really getting into it. And then, and then it got into, I always end up pulling it back to like things that are relative to me. And, we've done a few car charger projects and things like that in the past. And it brought it kind of full circle to that aspect, and just the feasibility of, how many car chargers are out there, how much power is available versus
that's like
how
versus
much
fossil fuels. Like I just don't see the sustainability of the electric car for that reason. I just can't picture that far. I'm not saying it's not there. I know it'll get there, but
I think
we're having brownouts in California because of the power shortage, yet everyone's getting an electric car.
How
does that work?
It's definitely doable. Obviously, I mean, anything's possible, right? But and I mean, on the projects that, some of the stuff that I've worked on, the cost to upgrade that infrastructure, is massive. Massive. You look at Tesla, like putting in the Tesla chargers, they're saying they'll cover the cost of like
everything, really.
Essentially, I mean, they cover the cost of like bringing the power to the site that you're building the car chargers on, kind of thing. But I mean, I would love to know what that bill is for them.
So they're
like, what does that invoice look like?
So up in Revelstoke, there's a complex. It's off the highway. So the draw there was the Tesla charging is off the highway. It brings the people side of the highway into town. You charge, shop type of thing.
Perfect.
So 1.5 million was the cost to put the Tesla charging stations in at that mall. Now I don't know quantity count, but I wonder
what. So like,
that was bringing power basically from the highway.
So that's bringing power from the highway.
So a lot
to
of
the
infrastructure upgrade, but that was no cost to the landlord.
For sure. Yeah. But I mean, $1.5 million to get the power there for what, maybe 8 chargers?
Yeah, I think maybe I would say 10, whatever.
Yeah.
Or I say the same thing, but
I just the ones that there's been a few that I've been a part of, and even adding like 2 level 3 chargers is
you say
astronomical.
You say 1.5 million, and that is a lot of money. I struggle with that sometimes. I'm like, to a potential client, it's only $1 million.
Don't worry about it.
$1 million. Like that's a lot of money.
A lot of money,
but it doesn't go very far.
No, and that's what I mean. Like $1.5 million, and you're getting 10 chargers.
Yeah.
Can you
and then
imagine
you can charge $10 a charge for people. So how many charges before that's paid off? Right?
Yeah. And then Tesla can't. There's no way that Tesla can fund that forever.
No.
You know what I mean? No. So like, if everybody were to get an electric car, there's no way that Tesla can fund the entire infrastructure of, let's even just say Metro Vancouver.
Yeah.
Right. For that.
Well, and there's some design. I can't think of the term. There's an actual term about getting power so you can drive right across Canada. Like there's a program or initiative, and that's why they're trying to.
Oh, okay.
Because I guess the talk now, electric vehicles are great. And driving around town. But if you want to start going on road trips, you got to plan your trip accordingly. To hit the charge stations, things like that. But apparently they're trying to do it where you can go the full way across without having to, I'll say, worry about running into the
middle of the prairies, just hanging out your Tesla in the freezing cold.
Yeah.
There was a Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan had Elon Musk on. He's had him on a couple times. I think it was the most recent one. It was Cybertruck. They were talking about, still down the rabbit hole. And Joe was asking about if there was a possibility to put enough solar panels on the car or on the truck to essentially self-perpetuate that vehicle.
Yeah.
And Elon Musk went down a whole avenue of calculations and mu values and all this kind of stuff. But essentially, no, there's not enough recharge juice. Essentially, in the he was talking about the monocrystalline panels of the solar panels, and essentially they're not as efficient as people think they are. Or they could be.
Yeah,
which
well,
makes sense because I mean you have
for sure.
the
The Jackery with the
Jackery.
powers, and like, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
sure, the thing's great. You know, we're looking for sponsors, so you know,
Yeah, looking for sponsors
We'd
is
love to
spectacular,
upgrade it
right?
for this year's camping trip
for sure. Jackery 3000 Pro.
Yeah,
But I mean, yeah, it takes a bit to charge that thing with the solar panels.
Yeah.
You know, even with two, it takes a bit, right?
and then if
So-
you're on a campsite that has trees, oh my goodness, you're moving that thing every
Yeah.
5 minutes.
yeah. I mean, yeah.
But
Can you
the
imagine
idea,
driving?
it's great though. Yeah.
But like driving your Cybertruck, like
Oh,
through,
it's cloudy. Oh no.
like you're going through like Redwood City, California, and like you can't
Good thing this
get
is
no
bulletproof.
sunshine.
What?
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
So do you remember when we were driving back from Seattle and we saw that Cybertruck on the side of the road? And do you remember all our reactions? So
Oh,
me, you
yeah.
and Brendan in there, yeah.
Yeah,
And how maybe not so cool that thing looked.
it is a little.
Maybe it was the guy
strange.
driving it, the way he was.
What was he doing?
He just didn't.
Just did not fit
it
the
wasn't him.
profile.
No,
Yeah.
no, it wasn't him.
Yeah.
I think he got it just for to say.
Yeah, I
he
think
got
it'd be cool.
Well, there's another.
Nice.
My understanding, you can't get armored vehicles. You can't insure armored vehicles. I heard that too. Maybe that's just a rumor. But
So
like,
I think if it's a typical vehicle that is upgraded to be an
like
armored
the
vehicle,
Cybertruck, you could or not.
I would
a
assume
normal
so.
vehicle.
Yeah.
but you couldn't.
yeah,
armor.
you
out
can't
your
go buy a Yukon, I don't think, and like put in
armored plates and all that.
yeah,
and then
armor
insure it.
plates
Yeah, okay.
and
I mean, I guess those that do that probably don't go ask if they can do it before.
yeah, they have the
Anyways.
little license plates.
Right.
They have the little license plates. They get the little flags on the bumper, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Are you talking
Yeah.
about the Men in Black or?
Yeah,
or-
obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tommy Lee, my boy. But yeah, no, that was my rabbit hole for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we go back into. I was on the Rivian, the Tesla.
I've
you know,
intrigue
the
in the
electric
Rivian.
Jeep.
Just because it looks more like I'll say modern.
There was
vehicle.
a camping, like a outdoors trade show,
Mhm.
and they had a Rivian, and I don't know if you've seen the side panel.
Haven't
So
really-
behind the cab, where the bed is,
Yeah.
but in front of the back wheel,
Yeah.
there's like a weird little spot in there, and it's like this piece that you can it's like a panel that opens.
Yeah.
And they had like a float thing, so you could like pull this sleeve out of this compartment. And it had a table that was folded up in there, and
so it's
your
set
camp
up-
chef
oh,
thing,
wow.
and like
okay.
yeah, I was like, my God,
And
that's
then
cool.
all powers right there. Plug
Yeah.
in the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was neat.
I mean, yeah. Don't get me wrong. Like I obviously just got a truck. I mentioned that
Yes.
earlier. Not just, but like I'm a ways away from electric vehicle. I don't
Yeah.
think I wasn't ready to get one to pull a trailer.
Yeah,
I just didn't think. it
I
was
don't
gonna
think
work.
anything's. I mean, I was gonna ask you about the F-150 and where you're at with that, but
I don't have an F-150.
no, but where you would be with it if you were looking at it. You were looking at it.
Yeah, no, the Lightning. I mean, for
It's
me, it was
cool.
the idea totally. And then when talking to a couple of our clients that are in that world, I was like, maybe it's not. I'm just not ready for it yet.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be a secondary vehicle, or if I wasn't pulling a trailer as much as I am,
Yeah.
then I would.
Yeah,
But,
no, for sure.
look at it. So
I have a buddy that has, and I don't know the ins and outs of the different models of
Mhm.
the Lightnings, but there is apparently like a hybrid one.
okay,
So it's not full electric,
yeah.
but it can go full electric,
So
but
you
it's
can- So you
hybrid.
can throw some gas in if.
Yeah. And he
Run it
says that thing is so they did a reno. He owns a company. He actually owns an electrical company.
Mhm.
And they did a reno in their office. And he actually wired in his office panel to the truck
Oh wow.
so they could continue working in like the back part of the office, keep the server running and stuff like that. He ran that power off of his truck while it was
For 10 minutes, but no, I'm joking.
it was like
It's impressive.
It was
I didn't
cool.
mean to take away from that. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean,
Cam. You
the
look
truck was
disappointed.
idling. The truck was idling.
You
obviously.
look sad. That
Yeah, I thought it was really cool.
It is.
It was neat. Don't ask me follow-up questions.
I don't want no follow-up
No
questions.
follow-up questions. Yeah, I thought that was kind of neat. So anyway, yeah, it's cool.
In my neighborhood, so I'm out in Langley, there's been a lot of ranchers being sold, and some have been torn down, some have been moved. And it's not really my rabbit hole, but it reminds me of some of the heritage homes that we did several years back. And one guy, so it was Nickel Brothers that did, and they're telling me the story about how they move houses from downtown, and those are like the 3-story houses. And I was like, well, how do you guys get them down
How
the
does that
road?
work?
And like, well, we do it
Yeah.
in the middle of the night. And then I don't know, it was a couple months after that. I was driving home and I see the big truck wide load
Oh,
going
yeah.
down. I can't remember what street we're on, but like, it's like, oh my goodness, there's a house in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
Yeah.
you know, you and your buddies in your car driving home from
Yeah.
the bar and you're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, there's a house coming down the middle of the road. But so one of the houses got jacked up and moved off, and I actually saw it now down the road from our office. So
Oh, no way.
it's being stored here.
Oh,
and
that
then-
one that's sitting on the
yeah,
road.
and then they
Oh, cool.
throw it on a barge and send
Take
it
it somewhere
wherever.
else.
But like I said, it's not a rabbit hole. They've been doing that forever. I
Yeah.
just think it's
Pretty cool,
pretty
though.
cool. You can
Yeah.
salvage a whole house. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously it gets stripped down, different parts taken out, but
Yeah, it's still pretty neat.
yeah, versus starting fresh and building something else.
That heavy hauling thing though is pretty cool. Like I remember there's a couple times coming back from like a hockey game or a downtown event, and I don't even know what road it is. The one that goes past like the Port of Vancouver.
Oh,
like,
down below?
Yeah.
Yeah.
McGill?
I think
it's
so.
McGill. Yeah, because it's McGill exit off of number 1 that I take.
Yeah.
But they were doing an addition to the port, and they were building like an overpass within the port or just off of the port or something like that. And they had these big girders, big precast girders. And I think actually my friend Justin was landing them.
Oh, okay.
Was flying them in for him. And there was a guy in a little cab under the rear
love
wheels.
those ones.
Oh
Yeah.
man, I was like, yes.
Yeah.
And he was doing the rear wheel steering.
Yeah.
And oh man, I was like, that is so cool.
I remember seeing those going across Canada as a kid, like in Montana, that where you can have like the triple axle kind of
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
And I always was like, how does someone fit down there? Like,
Yeah.
like, are they very short people or like
A small person.
right? Like I was like, how do you? But I was like, what are they doing back there? Just sitting there with this like,
Steering it, yeah.
Yeah,
I know, it was,
cool
I remember
stuff.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that made me think of that. It was, apparently that was going on for a while. Like they were hauling a lot of those girders quite a while. So yeah, that was cool. That was neat.
nice.
Great on. I think that's going to be a wrap for today. Unless you had anything else that you wanted
No,
to bring
I
up.
mean, looking at my notes, no, I don't.
Looking at your notes,
Yeah, no, I think we're
that's about it. So
can save some for next week too.
Can
right?
save some for next week. And yeah, I think we're gonna potentially have a guest next week,
Sweet.
surprise guest next week. So we'll hold off on the introductions for
Right.
now, but we'll get on that. So looking forward to that. Yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in.
Absolutely.
It's been another great episode with my buddy Jeff over here,
Yep.
and looking forward to chatting with you guys next week.
Talk to you guys all soon.
Cheers.